Welcome back to a different opinion again. And today we have an interesting one with NATO. And I'm just gonna run through, just in case you don't really know who's actually in NATO, the current news of Finland, which has actually applied to join NATO as well. So I'm not sure, obviously you do see all these news articles where Finland to join NATO as Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine backfires. I mean, it could backfire, where the initial, most of Europe is turning against Russia now, and kind of he's pushing those relations away, which, could be a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not too sure yet. We'll see who sticks with Russia, who doesn't. It'll be interesting to see in the coming times. But I'll jump straight into this one. It's only from 2 hours ago, from Nicholas Cecil. Finland took a landmark decision on Thursday to apply to join NATO in a further sign that Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine backfiring spectacularly. The Russian president ordered his troops into Ukraine amid claims it could join NATO and pose a risk to Russia, but his invasion has sparked a major shake-up of Europe's security architecture, with Finland now moving to join NATO and Sweden expected to follow suit. Finnish President Sauli Niinistö and Prime Minister Sanna Marin said in a joint statement that their countries should submit an application to join a military alliance. Wow, I mean, NATO is really like building steam here. I mean, with the amount of countries it has in there. But yet again, we'll go through the members and see actually how strong these countries are when it comes to a military alliance. Now that moment of decision making is near, we state our equal views also for information the parliament groups and parties. Niinistö and Marin said in a joint statement. NATO membership would strengthen Finland's security. As a member of NATO, Finland would strengthen the entire defense alliance, they said. Finland must apply for NATO membership without delay. We hope that the national steps still needed to make this decision will be taken rapidly within the next few days. Beware, Russia might invade. Just kidding. But as you can see, what's happening here with Russia, it could be pushing these smaller countries into a situation where they're actually stressed about if they're going to be safe or not, because they're not too far away from Russia. So they don't know, with him in charge, Putin, that is, you don't know what's going to happen next. And especially when he's kind of backed into a corner where, most countries are putting, tariffs and things like that on the country, you really don't know what's going to happen. So most of these countries like Sweden and Finland, they're kind of getting pushed into it. And this might push the countries that are kind of on Russia's side, further away. And like we said in that one of my past videos, the Armenia and Azerbaijan video, where it's pretty much happening there as well, where NATO is backing one country and obviously Russia and its allies are backing the other country, just as they do in the Middle East all the time as well, with Syria, etc. I mean, it's happened in Africa before, down in South Africa, when they had a because I'm from there as well, that's where I was born. They had massive civil unrest there, where there was actually war in between, where Russia was backing one party, America was kind of helping with another, and then didn't end up helping the South Africans. So it's very interesting to read about that as well. These people have just been involved for so long in many, many countries. I mean, neither side is a good side, is it? It's almost as if you got to think who's the lesser of the two evils. And like I said before in a previous video, I mean, it's literally two sides to the same coin. You got to choose your own decision on who's better, who's not. It almost just comes to which one affects you better or worse in reality. But I'll jump into here. Responding to the move, the Kremlin said Finland joining NATO would be a threat to Russia and would not further stability in Europe. Finland, which shares 1,300 kilometers border and a difficult past with Russia, has previously remained outside the North Atlantic Treaty Organization to maintain friendly relations. The announcement came just the day after Boris Johnson visited Finland and Sweden to sign new security pacts with them. On his Nordic trip, the Prime Minister warned Mr. Putin that if his troops attack Finland or Sweden, that Britain would come to their defense with military assistance. Wow. A lot of things are being thrown around here at the moment, which is massive. I mean, it's because if this happens, if Britain gets involved, then half the world is involved straight away with NATO. So I don't think we actually fathom how massive these implications are. If a war does start, it's crazy. Like, lives will change, worlds will change. countries will change. He signed a mutual security assurance with the Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson in Sweden and a similar security declaration of President CISTO in Finland. As part of the boosted defense operation, he offered to increase deployments to the Nordic region, including with Royal Air Force, Army, and Royal Navy assets and personnel. The UK is also proposing to intensifying intelligence sharing, increasing joint military training, exercising deployments, and work more closely together on hybrid and cyber threats. It's part of the moves to step up security in Northern Europe. That's interesting because, I mean, obviously, Russia obviously being on the border of Ukraine as well, now them going into that because they're losing control of the parts that they have in Ukraine, and now another neighbor. So Russia's nearly going to be backed into a corner here with all these countries around it kind of pushing back now and saying, you're not the bigger brother anymore. We're kind of doing our own decision now, which each country is allowed to do. They're allowed to make their own decision at the end of the day. They can't be pressured into something by, Russia right next to them, for example. But yeah, it's interesting to see it's changing. History is changing right in front of our eyes here. Mr. Johnson said Thursday that he did not see how there would be a normalization of relations with Mr. Putin following his invasion of Ukraine. Asked during an interview on LBC Radio whether the Russian president could be welcomed back on the global stage if he were to repent. Johnson said, repentance is going to be very difficult for Vladimir Putin now. Nothing is impossible, I suppose, but I just cannot see for the life of me how we can renormalize relations with Putin now. Mr. Johnson stressed that the world would risk a repeat of 2014 when Russia annexed Crimea if it now tried to bring back Mr. Putin into the international fold. The world basically said, this is appalling, we condemn it, we denounce it, and we did. And we put on sanctions, but at the same time, we kind of opened negotiations with him about a way forward. And Putin basically used that as a way twisting the knife in Ukraine. If the Ukrainians were to do any kind of deal with Putin now, the risk is that he would do exactly the same thing. They know it. It's true. What happened in Crimea, it's never stopped. People think it stopped. It hasn't. Like, there was still conflict happening literally till now. Like, it's still happening. People kind of forget about that. Like, I mean, even me, I can admit I was wrong. I used to think, the Crimea happened, Russia went in, overnight, they pretty much just overran the area and pretty much took control of it. But when I dug deeper, I realized that actually conflict was still going on to this day before the big invasion by Russia. So the short answer is no renormalization, and the UK is very clear about that. Register now for one of the evening stand. Okay, very interesting. Yeah, Sweden, Finland. If that's a decision you guys want to make, then good on you. Like, don't. If you think it's better for your security, then you got to do what's the best for your country. So I'll jump into this. This is the members of NATO. So first one, Albania. They joined in 2009, 3 million people. Belgium, 11 million people, 1949. Bulgaria, 2004, 6.9. Canada, Croatia, 37 million, 4 million. Czech Republic, 10 million. Denmark, 5 million. Estonia, small country, 1.2 million. France, 68 million. Germany, 79 million. Greece, 10 million. Hungary, 9 million. Hungary, yeah, you know how Hungary is. Iceland, wow, I didn't realize Iceland was so small, 354,000 people. Italy, 62 million. Latvia, 1.8. Lithuania, 2.7. Luxembourg, 639,000. Montenegro. Netherlands, 17 million. North Macedonia, 2. Norway, 5 million. Poland, 38 million. Wow, Poland's actually quite a lot of people. Portugal, 10 million. Romania, 21. Slovakia, 5. Slovenia, 2. Spain, 47. I didn't realize Spain was in there either. Turkey, wow, 82 million. United Kingdom, 67. In United States, 334. Wow, Turkey's in there as well. I didn't even know that either. That's interesting. And their capital is Ankara. I always thought it was Budapest for some reason. There's so much I know. But yeah, very interesting. It shows you here the active military units, reserve military, paramilitary, and their total. So you can see here, quite small. Canada's 105,000. Estonia, wow, for such a small country, you look at it here, 1.2 million people, and they actually have 40,000 people. Wow, that's nearly, it's massive, the amount of people that they have in their war effort. France, wow, it's massive, 344,000. Germany, Greece, Italy, these are just the big players. Imagine Iceland, 500 people. Better watch out. Hungary, 66. Italy, Lithuania, Latvia, Poland, Portugal. And just see the numbers here, 213, 890,000. Wow. 231,000. America, 2.2 million. Woo! The 6.1 million total units of army. So it's quite a lot. Alrighty. And then, you know, the Russian kind of version of the NATO, which is the CISTO, the Collective Security Treaty Organization. These are the members here since 1994: Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, and Tajikistan. A lot of stans. Former members was Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Uzbekistan. Observer states in the CSTO Parliament Assembly: Serbia, Union State. So down here you see the military personnel. Armenia, quite a bit, 259,000. Belarus, 465,000. Kazakhstan, 270,000. Kazakhstan, 20. Russia, 3.4 million people. That's insane. And then Tajikistan, 16,000. That's a pretty solid, you know, if you compare it here, 6.1 million, this is probably 4.3 million about. So 4.3 million active personnel. But then if you kind of take in all the population of the countries who can send people, if they really needed to, you know, obviously NATO's hands down better, and with equipment, hands down better. Hopefully it never gets to that point where everyone gets involved, but it's just kind of like, just to show you the interesting which countries are in there, and in case if you didn't know already, which countries are in NATO. And yeah, I find those things quite interesting, just to see things like that. Hopefully it never does ever come to that, because like I said, if the UK gets involved, look at all these countries that are going to get involved, and all these countries that are going to get involved. It won't be good for anyone. I'm hoping, like I've been saying before, hopefully Russia, you know, can de-escalate the situation. Europe can get into some sort of peace again and kind of build on those relations between these countries. But yeah, obviously we don't see that happening, because there's always conflict. Unfortunately, people just can't have peace in their lives, can they? But anyway, let me know what you think. Do you think Sweden, Finland, you know, do you think Russia's going to do something? Are they going to send different ways out of attacking this? Will this ever escalate, do you think? These are just kind of questions that I have that I do not know the answers to. But if you did like the video, please leave a like or subscribe if you do want to see future ones, just to help support the channel. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.